Hi, my friend. Another day I was talking about self-doubt, and it's one of the biggest things that's happening in our lives, and it's happening to every one of us. Before I start to share how I conquer my self-doubts, I want to give you a quick story about me, and that will show you how I can conquer my self-doubts to reach to who I am today. I was born in a small town in China, and in fact, when I was little, I was always the chubby one, and domestic violence happens in my family. I was suffering, I was doubting about why I was born in a very imperfect family. Right now, of course, I know no family is perfect. But back then, I was struggling with the self-doubt, and I was struggling about my identity, and I always felt that I was not loved and I wasn't important. I was very insignificant. It was a lot of things for a child like me to get through. And as time went by, I decided to moved from a small town to a bigger city for study, and actually started a bit earlier than many other people in my age. I graduated from the university when I was only 18, and I started working before my graduation. I was only 17. And all the way along, there were so much barriers that I was facing. And it's countless moments I felt sad, down, doubting. There were so many things happened. However, I still conquered all of this. I became author 2 or 3 years ago, and I had a dream that I wanted to travel around the world, and I got the job that allowed me to travel to 15 countries before I was only 27. And I also had a dream I wanted to move to Australia, and I did it, and I got a job sponsorship about 9-10 years ago. Our family moved to this beautiful place, Melbourne, Australia. My story was telling you guys, no matter what happened to you, doesn't mean it's against you. It can be something that is for you. And that's what I always believe. Believe that everything is happening for you, not against you. Now about how do I conquer my self-doubts. I had another talk on the last video. I was talking about why did we have self-doubts. Just a little bit reviewing about what I said is because it's unavoidable and it's not really completely our fault. It's something that's happening to every single one of us, which is why we need to be aware and we need to try to do something to avoid it. And you can find the most powerful inner you. Now, I have prepared a few tips. How did I conquer all the fears and self-doubts? And I hope these will help you as well. So the first one I got on my note is build up a success wall. So there are many stories if you heard from those successful people, and I looked back my journey as well. I started to be more confident and to be easily fighting back those doubts when I started to build up my success wall. It can be something in your family, a corner that you set up a nice wall to write down what you have achieved. Or you can even write on a notebook or your journal, which I did always on the journal. And writing journal has become one of the best things that helped me and be my lifesaver. So I highly recommend you to build up this success wall. Let me explain to you why. Building a successful wall is not to bring you to be arrogance. In fact, it brings you more confidence. The difference between confidence and arrogance is that when you're confident, you think you're good. But when you're arrogant, you think you are better than many others. So the difference is when you are confident, you don't compare with others. Instead, you compare yourself from yesterday to today and to tomorrow. But arrogance is on the opposite. You always compare yourself with anybody around you, anybody you know, and you always say to yourself, I can beat this guy or that guy. Trust me, you will always find someone who's better than you, or you can always see someone who's not as good as you. It's an endless journey. And it's really a bad habit if we start to compare all the time. Which is why the success wall or the journal that you write down about what you have achieved is super helpful. because we are very forgetful. And when we achieved something, sometimes we move quickly and we forgot how much effort we made, and we also forgot that we could be so amazing. But after a few years, you might forget. Let me take my story for example. I had this amazing conference of my company, SGN, about 10 months ago. And it took me a whole year to prepare every single thing. And I got a lot of time on there. And at the end of the conference, it was amazing. It was a great success. But immediately after that, I did not celebrate anything. All I was doing just keep going to do the other project and then another. And then one day I felt really uncomfortable. I felt the sort of doubt attacking me, the sort of fear that what if you can't do this? What if you stop working, you can't get the clients, or if you relax or take a rest, you will be broke, or whatever the voice was telling me. It was terrible. And I started to realize that, wait a minute, I never really had chance to celebrate, to write down this success. So I decided to slow down and I built up my success wall and I write down all the achievement in the last 1.5 years, and it amazed me so much. And I built up a post on the social media. And many people liked it and start to say, wow, that's amazing. It's not a showing off. It's more about to build up back my confidence, because it's like you are a car, you need fuel. You need to be refilled to keep moving. My next suggestion is don't give permission to others about who you are. Most of the time when I was younger, I realized that the most struggle that I got was I constantly was looking for someone to give me permission to do something. If someone didn't say yes to me or no one supporting my idea, I was scared, I was worried, and I wasn't ready to go for it. And that was the biggest mistake ever. And it also applied to the self-doubt. When you are doubting yourself, you start to look for many reasons or excuses or someone's permission to do what you can do. Trust me, there are so many people in this world, when they were successful, they always make hard decisions. They made the decisions that nobody would even believe that will happen, but then they did it. And how beautiful is that? My reminder to you, my friend, is remember, don't give permissions to others about who you are. You can ask for advices. You can ask for their experiences and the knowledge, which is great, because we always have to remain humble and hungry so that we can learn more. But don't get into the trap that you need to get permission about who you are in other people's eyes, because everybody can see you in a different angle. But you need to know who you are and you need to stay firm about who you are. And that's my second point about how to conquer your self-doubt. And the next one is failure is your best friend. Practice makes perfect. I realized that in my time that I was doubting about I could not do something, when I start to change one day to day one, when I start to conquer my fear and step on there and go for it, I start to become more and more confident, because practice makes perfect. And remember when I was in the university, that was the hardest time before I started uni. My family was going through a very hard time. We were also in poverty. I remember I only spent probably 100 RMB dollars per month for living. It's only about $50 per month, and it was very hard for me. And I remember that I was even doubting, how can I do so many things? I might fail in what I learned, and I got so much pressure on me. I want to really study well so that I can carry the burden for my family. And from then on, I made a huge decision, and that decision has completely changed my life. And I started to apply for all those activities in the university. I became a captain for study, for English, because it was an English university, and I I started to attend all those drama on the stage and started to learn ping pong, basketball, attending the basketball group, and also joined their podcast team, and so many things I learned. It was crazy. It was all my first time. I even learned guitar, and I remember I played guitar on the stage. I only learned like for probably less than a month, but I could already play guitar. It was amazing. And that decision has completely changed my life, because instead of waiting for things to start or for me to be ready, I will never be ready if I never get started. And that's one of the biggest things I've done, and it helped me so much for everything in my life that I do business, I deal with people, or there's ideas in my mind, I want to transform them into reality, is get started. And like Nike always says this, and it's so popular. Why? It's because it's so helpful. Just do it. Of course, the next tip is also very important, and I concluded into HHC. So what is H? The first H is health. Imagine if without physical health, you cannot really not doubting yourself. I remember every time when I got sick, I started to be really doubting. I feel useless. I could not do anything. I have so many things in my mind, but I'm not ready to do anything because of my physical limitation. So you really have to take care of your health if you wanted to remove all the self-doubts. And maybe it just starts from very small things. It doesn't have to be one step to the top of the mountain. And my suggestion is definitely sleep well within at least 7 hours. And if you can do 8 hours, that'd be awesome. And drink more water every single day. And pay attention to the food that you are eating. And of course, if you can do regularly walking, workout, running, because our life needs movement. Without moving regularly, we're going nowhere. We need exercise to keep us healthy. And the next H, I would say, is happiness. Of course, everyone wants to be happy, but how can you manage your happiness? And that is why it's so important to have the second H, and that is happiness. Why I'm saying you need happiness is because when you are happy, when you smile, you look more pretty and beautiful as well. You won't say someone, if they're smiling at you, they won't look really too ugly, right? Let's be honest, maybe they really not look that beautiful, but it's not, at least not ugly. So if when you're happy, you can attract more people. You have the energy that people just want to get closer to you, and that also help you to avoid the doubts. And so that is the second H. Now the C is very important, of course. We're talking about you need to conquer your self-doubts, and confidence is the most important thing for you to be. So confidence comes from yourself, your inner self. Sometimes we'll be thinking maybe I should be more prettier, or shape is better to be more confident. No, that's not the truth. There are so many people in this world. They might look bigger than you, they might have a lot of fat, they might be not as pretty, but still very confident. So confidence comes from inside of you, and it can be built, as what I just said. If you're healthy, if you're happy, and if you can achieve things in your life, you'll be more and more confident. And here comes the conclusion that I talked about HHC, health, happiness, and confidence. Now the next tip is what I always do, is you have to find inspirational things to read or to listen. What I usually do is I will read books and those amazing successful stories, and also I will listen to the podcast. And sometimes TED Talks are really good. I'm not saying because there's so many things nowadays we can watch, so you need to be very selective. But what I'm saying is find amazing inspirational message you watched online. You should repeat it until you memorize, until it really drives you to be more hungry and to be more motivated. So that's what I do. So I suggest you, my friends, read, listen to amazing messages that will help you. And the next tip is repetition of affirmations. As we know, our brain, it has something that's really interesting. It can't tell the truth or the lie sometimes. What I mean is, when you say something to your brain, say, I can do it, your brain will believe what you say is true. But if you say negative words, it will also believe it as well. So that is so important. How can we persuade our subconscious mind to believe that we can do anything and we can be more confident? And that will help us to remove lots of our self-doubts. So I usually do morning affirmations, and on my channel, The Joyful Leader in You, I have created lots of morning affirmations that I also listen, and I found it's really helpful. And if you do that, as time goes by, especially if you insist on that for 21 days minimum, you will see a significant change in your life, especially in your brain, that you will believe how amazing you are, and there's nothing that is impossible for you to achieve. Now, the last but not the least is super important. It is be the authentic you. If you are just being somebody else or pretending to be somebody else, it won't last longer. And trust me, you've had more self-doubts creeping into your mind and attacking you more because you will constantly compare yourself with somebody else. The key to remove all the self-doubts is that you have to be fearless and courageous to be yourself, to be your authentic self. And that is why you have all the 7 tips today I'm sharing. I hope this will really help you, and believe me, if you apply these 7 tips into your life, self-doubts have no place to stay in your life at all. And I send you so much love and light. God bless you.